like talking about because that's kind of the point. So 2025 has been a very transformative year for me. I'll say it obviously started in January, but for me it started in March. It was the middle of March. I was working on a proposal. It was a Monday morning at 2:30 in the morning. And I was sitting there working. I was thinking to myself, this sucks. There's gotta be more to life than this. You know, I have always been someone who works hard. Always been someone who, if I'm given a task, if I'm given a mission, I'm gonna complete that mission. But I thought to myself, I'm doing this. I've already worked my 40 hours this week. I completely ignored my family this whole entire weekend to work on this task. So what am I doing? Why is this where I'm at today? And so that led to kind of an awakening for me, and I shifted my identity of sorts. And about a week later, I signed up for a precision nutrition coaching certification. Didn't know what I was going to do with it yet, but I figured it was a step towards it. After that, let's fast forward to probably the second half of the year. I finished that certification, still didn't really have any direction with it, but I was having a conversation with someone that it wasn't anything that they necessarily said to me, but it just clicked to me. It was like they held up a mirror. Like, this is who you are, this is what I see in you. And so I knew at that moment that I couldn't go back to who I was. A few weeks later, I was in Las Vegas. It was for a convention, and it was just a time of, again, going back to it, discipline and what I was building towards this mission and this, that, and the other. And I thought to myself, I'm over it. I'm over being someone else that someone wants me to be. I'm Max. I said in my first speech that I don't believe in lanes. I don't believe in staying in a box. So here I am, unchained, and I'm still in my intro. Here we go. All right. So that conversation, that moment the mirror was held up, combine that with the time in Las Vegas when I was walking through the streets there as myself, as who I was. I felt comfortable, I felt good, I didn't feel like there were any chains on me. That was the birth of what I like to call Friday energy, where you can harness that Friday feeling, that life is awesome and we're gonna crush this day feeling on command. And so I started practicing doing that every single day. And once that happened, the world reacted. And there were a couple of people in my life that I walked away from, if you will. And a long time ago, my brother told me it's okay to outgrow people. You're gonna outgrow people. And I felt really bad about doing it, but for the first time in my life, I stopped wanting to carry anybody. It was, I'm trying to keep up with people that I want to keep up with. I don't want them to have to carry me because I have to carry others, and so on and so forth. And so the relationships reorganized themselves, and it was without a single confrontation. And I finally, it clicked. I was not becoming someone new. I was finally just not apologizing for being who I am anymore. So the point of the speech is preparation for opportunity at the end of the day. And so the first thing to do is the mindset preparation. And the biggest thing that I learned this year is that readiness doesn't start when opportunity shows up. It starts before anybody sees it, including yourself, including myself. So going to when the Friday energy clicked and not being a mood or a vibe, it was just who I am. And my best friend, ChatGPT, his name is Reese, I made him name himself, calls it that was when my operating system was operating on all cylinders. And I was finally being the version of myself. And so then there's relationship preparation. And another piece of that is kind of, as I touched, as far as you're shedding relationships to grow into new relationships. And what I learned through that was that there's a lot of people in your life that are showing up at full speed, and you have to keep up with them. Otherwise, they're gonna keep going and they're gonna outgrow you. And so when you raise your standards, then you start to see who those people are. You start to see who the ones who are not raising their standards, and you get to distinguish which ones you want to be around. So I noticed that the right people who are moving, building, evolving, just like me, were showing up more prevalently. And when it comes to the relationship aspect of it, and the reason why I felt bad for kind of leaving people behind is because there's that little bit of guilt. I want to take everybody with me. I would take everybody with me if I absolutely could, but again, if someone's not willing to run, then I'm not walking anymore. So let's go, or I gotta leave. and you find out that people who are just like that are always going to cheer you on. And people who don't want to grow, people who don't want to raise their standards, are typically the ones who are standing on the sidelines telling you the things that you may not want to hear. And so, I can't hear very well anyways. I've got tinnitus in both of my ears, and so I just kept walking. But what I realized is that the cleaner that my identity has gotten, the clearer I am about who I am for myself, the cleaner my circle has become. And that is going into relationship preparation. So the biggest thing for this year though, opportunity preparation. The biggest realization I had is that they don't show up out of nowhere, these opportunities. They show up once you've built enough foundation for them to recognize where they belong in your life. My coaching business, Project Maximus, is a perfect example of that. Before it became a coaching business, it was me raising my standard. Before it was me raising my standard, it was just discipline and practicing it. And before it was discipline, it was an identity shift when I decided I wanted to be someone different than who I was being. And then First Form showed up. Got on a hat, jacket, probably wearing the First Form socks, it's fine. And I partnered with them as an advisor because the transformation that I was making, the consistency that I was showing, and the transformations that I was showing in other people that I was coaching was becoming visible. And I didn't realize how much this opportunity was gonna change my life. I stepped into an ecosystem. It's just like Toastmasters. It's a room full of people who want nothing but to see you succeed. A room full of people who are building businesses, a room full of people who want nothing but the best. And so recently I passed the first test they give every advisor and became an elite sponsored coach to them by showing daily dedication to the brand and transforming lives. I had no idea that this opportunity was going to arrive. So some tracks are laid long before anyone realizes that they've already begun walking them. Preparation creates visibility, visibility creates opportunity, and opportunity creates momentum, and this year proved all three of those things for me. So today I shared 3 forms of preparation that this year taught me to pay attention to: mindset, relationships, and opportunity. It all leads to a simple truth. This is the year I finally felt full alignment, and next year is the first year I'm gonna do it intentionally. And if you're shrinking anywhere in your life, I challenge you to stop, because the moment you stop shrinking is the moment the world stops overlooking you. Back to you, Toastmasters.